To help the motherland march forward, only forward. That word, forward, that was Gogol's favorite word. Which is why Gogol's work is so close and dear to all Soviet peoples. And if I may mention, after he left Russia for Europe, Gogol worked for the Jewish Forward for many years. So I guess I'll read, since I can't really offer any scholarly opinions on Gogol, other than I like him. I will read first in English a scene, and then I'll read a part of it in Russian for, maybe there are some Russian speakers here. The scene I want to read is one of my favorite. This is Chichikov, the hero of Dead Souls, is in action. He's trying to buy dead souls from various landowners, and he really meets his match in a gentleman named Nozdryov, from the word nozdrya, the nostril, so Mr. Nostrilov is how you would translate it, I guess. And he's a gambler and a cheat and a drunk and just a perfect match. So let me read you the scene. So that I don't forget, I have a request to make of you, said Chichikov. What is it? First, give me your word that you'll do it. But what's the request? No. First, give me your word. All right. Word of honor? Word of honor. The request is this. You have, I expect, many dead peasants who have not yet been crossed off the census list. Well, what if I have? Transfer them to me, to my name. What for? Well, I just need it. But what for? Well, I just need it. It's my business. In short, I need it. Well, you're surely up to something. Confess, what is it? But what could I be up to? With such trifles, there's nothing to be up to. So then, as long as you don't tell me, I won't do it, said Nozdryov. Well, there, you see, that's dishonest on your part. You gave me your word, and now you're backing out. Well, that's as you please, said Nozdryov. I won't do it until you tell me what for. What can I possibly tell him, thought Chichikov, and after a moment's reflection, he announced that he needed the dead souls to acquire weight in society, that he needed not as an owner of a big estate, so that in the meantime, there would at least be some wretched little souls. Lies, said Nozdryov, not letting him finish. Lies, brother. Chichikov himself noticed that his invention was not very clever, and the pretext was rather weak. Well, then I'll tell you more directly, he said, correcting himself. Only, please don't let on to anyone. I have a mind to get married, but you must know that the father and mother of the bride are most ambitious people. It's such a mishap, really. I'm sorry I got into it. They absolutely insist that the bridegroom own not less than 300 souls. And since I'm lacking almost as many as 150 souls, lies, Nozdryov cried again. No, this time, said Chichikov, I did not lie even this much. And with his thumb, he indicated the tiniest part of the little finger. I'll bet my head you're lying, said Nozdryov. Now that's an insult, said Chichikov. What indeed do you take me for? Why am I so sure to be lying? As if you didn't know. You're a great crook. Allow me to tell you that in all friendliness, if I were your superior, I'd hang you from the nearest tree. Chichikov was offended by this remark. Any expression the least bit crude or offensive to propriety was disagreeable to him. He even did not like on any occasion to allow himself to be treated with familiarity, excepting only when the person of a very high rank. And therefore he was now thoroughly insulted. By God, I'd hang you, Nozdryov repeated. I tell it to you openly, not to insult you, but simply as a friend. There are limits to everything, Chichikov said with dignity. If you wish to flaunt such talk, go to the barracks. And then he appended, but if you don't want to give them, then sell those dead souls to me. Sell them? Don't I know you're a scoundrel and you're not going to give me much for them? For pity's sake, brother, what Jewish instincts you have. You ought simply to give them to me. Well, listen, to prove to you that I'm not some kind of a niggard, I won't ask anything for them. Buy the stallion from me and I'll throw them into Bud. For pity's sake, what do I need a stallion for, said Chichikov. You ask what for, but I paid 10,000 for him, and I'm going to give him to you for 4. But what do I need with a stallion? I don't keep a stud. But listen, you don't understand. I'll take only 3,000 from you now, and you can pay me the remaining 1,000 later. But I don't need a stallion, God bless him. Well, then buy the chestnut mare. And I don't need a mare either. Okay, for the mare and the gray horse, the one I showed you, I'll ask only 2,000 from you. Chichikov thanked him for his benevolence and declined outright both the gray horse and the chestnut mare. Well, then simply buy some dogs. I'll sell you such a pair. They just give you chills all over. Broad-chested, mustache, coat standing up on the bristles. The barrel shape of the ribs is inconceivable to the mind. The paw is all one ball. It never even touches the ground. But what do I need dogs for? I'm not a hunter. But I want you to have dogs. Listen, okay, if you don't want dogs, then buy my barrel organ. It's a wonderful barrel organ. As I'm an honest man, I got it for $1,500 myself. I'm giving it to you for $9. But what do I need a barrel organ for? Am I some kind of German to go dragging myself over the roads begging for money? But this is not the kind of organ Germans go around with. This is a real organ. All right. If you don't want to stake money, listen, here's what. I'll give you the barrel organ and all the dead souls I have, and you give me your britska and 300 rubles on top of it. Well, what next? How am I going to get around? I'll give you another britska. Let's go to a shed. I'll show it to you. Just repaint it. Oh, my God, it'll be a wonder of a britska. See? Britska, barrel organ, and dead souls all together. I don't want to, Chichikov said yet again. Why don't you want to? Because I just don't want to, that's all. Oh, really, what a man you are. I can see there's no getting along with you like good friends and comrades. What a man, really. It's clear at once that you're a two-faced person. But what am I, a fool or what? Consider for yourself. Why should I acquire something I don't need? Spare me your talk, please. I know you very well now. Such scum, really. Well, listen, want to have a little go at Pharaoh? I'll stake all my dead ones and the barrel organ, too. Well, venturing into Pharaoh means subjecting oneself to uncertainty, Chichikov said, and at the same time glanced out of the corner of his eye at the cards in the man's hands. Both decks seemed very much like false ones to him, and the back design itself looked very suspicious. Why uncertainty, said Nozdryov. None whatsoever. If only luck is on your side, you can win a devil of a lot. As Nozdryov was saying this, Porfiry, his serf, brought in a bottle, such as we're drinking. But Chichikov refused decidedly either to play or to drink. Why don't you want to play? Said Nozdryov. Well, because I'm not disposed to. And truth to tell, I'm not an avid gambler at all. Why not? Chichikov shrugged his shoulders and said, because I'm not. Trash is what you are. No help for it. God made me this way. Simply a foozle. I used to think you were at least a somewhat decent man, but you have no notion of manners. It's impossible to talk with someone like you. No straightforwardness, no sincerity. A perfect Sabakevich, a real scoundrel. But why are you abusing me, Nozdryov? Am I to blame for not gambling? Sell me the souls if you're the sort of man who trembles over such nonsense. The hairy devil is what you'll get. I was going to sell you those souls. I was just going to make you a gift of them, but now you won't get them. Not even for 3 kingdoms would I give them to you. You're a cheat, you vile chimney sweep. From now on, I don't want to have anything to do with you. Porfiry, go and get the stable boy and tell him not to give any oats to his horses. Let them eat only hay. The last conclusion Chichikov had not expected at all. Yeah, you'd better not show your face to me at all, said Nozdryov. In spite of this falling out, however, guest and host had supper together. Though this time, no wines with fanciful names stood on the table. There was just one bottle sticking up containing some sort of Cyprian wine, which was sour all over. After supper, Nozdryov, leading Chichikov to a side room where a bed had been prepared for him, said, "There's your bed. I don't even want to wish you good night." Chichikov remained after Nozdryov's departure in a most unpleasant state of mind. He slept very badly. Some small, most lively insect kept biting him unbearably, so that he raked at the wounded spot with all 5 fingers, repeating, the devil take you, along with Nozdryov. He woke up early in the morning. The first thing he did after putting on his dressing gown and boots was to go across the yard to the stables and order Selifan, his coachman, to harness the britska at once. Coming back across the yard, he met with Nozdryov, who was also in his dressing gown, a pipe clenched in his teeth. Nozdryov greeted him amiably and asked him how he had slept. So, Chichikov replied dryly. And I, brother, said Nozdryov, kept dreaming about such vileness all night. Ugh, it's disgusting to speak of it. And after yesterday, it feels as if a squadron of army men spent the night in my mouth. Just fancy. I dreamed I got a whipping. By gosh, and imagine who from. You'll never guess. Staff Captain Potsuluev. Yes, Chichikov thought to himself. It would be nice if you got a thrashing in reality. By God, and it was a most painful thrashing. I woke up, devil take it, something's itching for a fact. Must be these cursed fleas all over the house. Well, you go and get dressed now. I'll come to you at once. We'll have supper. Chichikov went to his room to dress and wash. When he came out to the dining room after that, a tea service and a bottle of rum were already standing on the table. The room bore traces of yesterday's dinner and supper. It seemed not to have been touched by a broom. The floor was strewn with breadcrumbs, and tobacco ashes could even be seen on the tablecloth. The host himself, who was not slow to come in, had nothing under his dressing gown except a bare chest on which some sort of beard was growing. "Well, what do you think?" Nozdryov said after a short silence. "You want to play for the souls?" "I've already told you, brother, I don't gamble. As for buying, I will sell them if you like." "I don't want to sell. It wouldn't be friendly. But faro, that's another thing. Just one through the deck." "I already told you no." "And you don't want to trade?" "I don't." "Well, okay, listen. Let's play checkers. If you win, they're all yours. I do have a lot that ought to be crossed off the list. Hey, Porfiri, bring us the checkerboard." "Wasted effort," said Chichikov. "I won't play." "But this isn't faro. There can't be any luck or bluffing here. It's all art. I'm even warning you that I can't play at all unless you give me some kind of handicap." Why not sit down and play checkers with him, Chichikov thought. I used to be not so bad at checkers, and it will be hard for him to pull any tricks here. "If you like," he said, "so be it. I will play checkers. The souls against 100 rubles. "Why so much? Let's say 50 rubles. "What kind of stake is 50? Better let me throw in some puppy or something." "Well, if you like," said Chichikov. "How much of a handicap are you going to give me?" said Nozdryov. "Why on earth? Nothing, of course. At least let me have the first 2 moves." "I will not. I'm a poor player myself." "We know what kind of a player you are," said Nozdryov, advancing a piece. "I haven't touched checkers in a long time," said Chichikov, also moving a piece. "We know what kind of a poor player you are," said Nozdryov, advancing a piece. "I haven't touched checkers in a long time," said Chichikov, moving a piece. "We know what a poor player you are," said Nozdryov, moving a piece, and at the same time moving another piece with the cuff of his sleeve. "I haven't touched checkers in a long..." Hey, what's this? "Brother, put that one back," said Chichikov. "Which one?" "That piece there," said Chichikov. And just then he saw, almost under his very nose, another piece that seemed to be sneaking toward being kinged. Where it had come from, God only knew. "No," said Chichikov, getting up from the table. "It's absolutely impossible to play with you. You can't move like that, 3 pieces at a time." "What do you mean 3? It was a mistake. One got moved by accident. I'll move it back if you like." "And the other one, that came from where?" "Which other one?" "This one that's sneaking toward being kinged." "Come now, as if you don't remember." "No, brother, I counted all the moves and remember everything. You stuck it in there just now. It belongs here." "What? Where does it belong?" Nozdryov said, flushing. "Ah, yes, brother, I see you're an inventor." "No, brother, it seems you are the inventor, only not a very successful one." "What do you take me for?" said Nozdryov. "Would I go and cheat?" "I don't take you for anything. I'll just never play with you again." "I wasn't cheating, and you can't refuse. You have to finish the game." "That you will not make me do," Chichikov said coolly, and going over to the board, he mixed up all the pieces. Nozdryov flushed and came up to Chichikov so close that he retreated a couple of steps. "I'll make you play. Never mind that you've mixed up the pieces. I remember all the moves. We'll put them back the way they were." "No, brother, the matter's ended. I won't play with you." "So you don't want to play?" "Yes, you can see for yourself that it's impossible to play with you." "No, come here. Tell me straight out that you don't want to play," Nozdryov said, stepping still closer. "I don't," said Chichikov, bringing both hands closer to his face anyhow, just in case, for things were indeed getting heated. The precaution was quite appropriate because Nozdryov swung his arm. It might very well have happened that one of our hero's pleasant and plump cheeks was covered in indelible dishonor, but, successfully warding off the blow, he seized Nozdryov by his 2 eager arms and held him fast. "Porfiri, Pavlushka!" Nozdryov shouted in rage, trying to tear himself free. Hearing these words, Chichikov, not wishing to have household serfs witness this scene, and at the same time feeling that it was useless to hold Nozdryov, let go of his arms. At the same time, in came Porfiri and Pavlushka. "So you don't want to finish the game," Nozdryov said. "Answer me straight out." "It is impossible to finish the game," Chichikov said, and peeked out the window. He saw his britska standing already, and Selifan seemed to be waiting for a sign to drive up to the porch, but it was impossible to get out of the room. In the doorway stood these 2 stalwart serfs. "So you don't want to finish the game," Nozdryov repeated, his face burning as if it were on fire. "If you played as befits an honest man, I would finish, but now I can't." So you can't, scoundrel. You saw the game was going against you, so now you can't." "Beat him!" he shouted frenziedly, turning to Porfiri and Pavlushka, and himself seizing hold of his cherrywood chibuk. Chichikov turned pale as a sheet. He wanted to say something, but felt that his lips were moving soundlessly. "Beat him!" shouted Nozdrov, charging forward with his cherrywood chibuk, all hot and sweaty, as if he were assaulting an impregnable fortress. "Beat him!" he shouted in the same voice in which some desperate lieutenant during a major assault shouts, "Forward, boys!" to his detachments. But if Nozdrov himself represented a fortress assaulting lieutenant, the fortress he was attacking, Chichikov, in no way resembled an impregnable one. On the contrary, the fortress was so afraid that its heart sank right into its shoes. Already the chair with which we had thought to defend himself had been torn from his hands by the serfs. Already, with eyes shut, more dead than alive, he was preparing to get a taste of his host's Circassian chibuk, and God knows what was going to happen to him. But it pleased the fates to spare the ribs, the shoulders, and all the more polite parts of our hero. Unexpectedly, there sounded a clinking, as if from the clouds, a jingling sound of bells, and there was a rattle of wheels as a cart flew up to the porch, and even into the room itself came a heavy snorting of horses, a stop troika. Everyone involuntarily glanced at the window. Someone with a mustache in a half-military frock coat was getting out of the cart. After making inquiries in the front hall, he entered at the very moment when Chichikov, having not yet managed to collect himself after his fear, was in the most pitiful position a mortal had ever been in. "May I know which of you here is Mr. Nozdrov?" said the stranger, looking in some perplexity at Nozdrov, who was standing with the chibuk still in his hand, and at Chichikov, who was barely beginning to recover from his unprofitable position. "May I first know to whom I have the honor of speaking?" said Nozdrov, going up closer to him. The district captain of police. "And what would you like?" "I have come to announce to you the notification which has been communicated to me that you are under arrest until the decision of your case is concluded." "Nonsense! What case?" said Nozdrov. "You, sir, have been implicated in an episode on the occasion of the inflicting of a personal offense upon the landowner Maximov with birch rods in a drunken state." "You're lying. I've never laid eyes on any landowner Maximov." "My dear sir, allow me to report to you that I am an officer. You may say that to your servant, but not to me." And here Chichikov, without waiting for Nozdrov's response to that, quickly took his hat and behind the police captain's back, slipped out to the porch, got into his britska, and told Selifan to whip up the horses at full speed. And now we'll read. Okay. And now we'll finish off with some of the checker scene in Russian. «Ну, изволь», — сказал Чичиков. «Сколько же ты мне дашь вперед?» — сказал Ноздрев. «Это с какой стати? Конечно, ничего. По крайней мере, пусть будет мои 2 хода». «Не хочу, я сам плохо играю». «Знаем мы вас, как вы плохо играете», — сказал Ноздрев, выступая шашкой. «Давненько не брал я в руки шашек», — говорил Чичиков, подвигая тоже шашку. «Знаем мы вас, как вы плохо играете», — сказал Ноздрев, выступая шашкой. «Давненько не брал я в руки шашек», — говорил Чичиков, подвигая шашку. «Знаем мы вас, как вы плохо играете», — сказал Ноздрев, подвигая шашку, да в то же самое время подвинул обшлагом рукава и другую шашку. «Давненько не брал я в руки...» Что, брат, что? Отсади-ка ее назад», — говорил Чичиков. «Кого?» «Да шашку-то», — сказал Чичиков, и в то же время увидел почти перед самым носом своим и другую, которая, как казалось, пробиралась в дамке. Откуда она взялась, это один только Бог знал. «Нет», — сказал Чичиков, вставший из-за стола, — «с тобой нет никакой возможности играть. Это так не ходит, по 3 шашки вдруг». «А чего же по 3? Это по ошибке. Одна подвинулась нечаянно, я ее отодвинул, изволь». «А другая-то откуда взялась?» «Какая другая?» «А вот эта, что пробирается в дамке». «Вот тебе на, будто не помнишь». «Нет, брат, я все ходы считал и все помню. Ты ее только теперь перестроил, ей место вон где». «Как где место?» — сказал Ноздрев, покрасневший. «Да ты, брат, как я вижу, сочинитель». «Нет, брат, это, кажется, ты сочинитель, да только неудачно». «За кого же ты меня почитаешь?» — говорил Ноздрев. «Стану я разве плутовать?» «Я тебя ни за кого не почитаю, но только играть с этих пор не буду». «Нет, ты не можешь отказаться», — говорил Ноздрев, горячась. «Игра начата». «Я имею право отказаться, потому что ты не так играешь, как прилично честному человеку». «Нет, врешь ты это не можешь сказать». «Нет, брат, сам ты врешь». «Я не плутовал, а ты отказаться не можешь. Ты должен кончить партию». «Этого ты меня не заставишь делать, сказал Чичиков хладнокровно и, подшедший к доске, смешал шашки. Thank you.